Hello and welcome to Whisky.com, where fine spirits meet. And today we're having a Benromach Live Tasting with Patrick James. Thank you very much for being here.
Well, thank you for having me here.
Patrick is over 10 years in the whiskey business with holding tastings and everything. But you come from kind of the whiskey and enjoyment? Or how do you say that?
Well, we always said like a whiskey and style. Style. So I used to have a whiskey store and a fashion store, clothing store, and so that's why we always call it kind of style and whiskey or whiskey and style.
Okay, but also with coffee and cigars and stuff.
Exactly. So we had cigars. We had a cafe where people can sit in, enjoy their cigar, enjoy their whiskeys, and just experience a great time with us.
Okay, so it really was like of all the enjoyment.
Exactly.
And now you're brand ambassador for what was it, Gordon and MacPhail?
Gordon and MacPhail and Benromach in Germany.
Ah, okay. So can you give us a little bit of an oversight what we are trying today?
So what we see here is our core range, basically. We have the 10 years, we have the 15 years, which we're gonna go more into, and our cask strength whiskey. And obviously, for those who are not totally into cask strength or still are kind of learning, add a little bit of water to it, or have a water beside you.
Have a water ready if possible. This is the live tasting of Whisky.com, and if you live in the Netherlands or Belgium, you can actually order these bottles here on Whisky.com as a set. I think there's a little bit of a discount there for ordering 3 bottles, or you can actually buy the small set. And it's it's actually written in German on there, but you will get it written on German in there. Miniatursortiment. Might be a little bit similar in Dutch. And yeah, so there are the miniatures in there, so you can enjoy them. Like 1 or 2 people can enjoy a small miniature set. If you have more, then you might try the big bottles, because I do like the Benromach. They might be handy later for later days. Have you visited Benromach?
I did. I've been there this year in June, actually.
So everything's still the same?
Everything's still the same. Still beautiful, like always.
Okay.
Great people.
And Benromach is actually a Speyside distillery.
Yes, it is.
So very north in the Speyside, so not at the coast, but near the coast, I would say.
Yeah.
Don't drive far for that. And they're lying in the beautiful town of Forres.
Definitely.
And yeah, this is the distillery. And if you drive through Forres, you can actually see that chimney. And that is very, very typical for Benromach.
Oh yeah.
It's this red.
That's unique.
The red color you will see as kind of a red line going, or what was it? Is it red line or no? Everything about Benromach is a little bit red.
Definitely. It symbols Benromach.
And what I'm a bit baffled about it, even when I went in there, was the style that actually Benromach makes.
Yeah.
Usually you have a Speyside, which is easy, usually sherry and easy.
With low and mild.
And how would you describe them?
Characteristic, I would say we have here, like I said before, it's a worker whiskey. It's a little bit rough, a little bit tough, but at the same time you get a lightly peated whiskey on your back end of your
very atypical for a Speyside.
Palate. That's what I want to say. I'm sorry.
Yeah, very atypical, because usually you don't have like how do you call it, workers whiskey, like a little bit rougher and no peat in the Speyside usually.
Yes. So this is a traditional old style that we're really are working for.
Yeah, the thing is, back in the days of like 1898, when the distillery was actually founded, all of the whiskies were a little bit peated because coal was something that was expensive. You had to buy. Whereas peat, you just go out to the bog, cut a bit of peat, let it dry, and then you have peat. So basically it was free because there were not that many people. If everybody would went out cutting peat today, then we would really have environmental damage.
Yes.
But back in the days, it was like just a handful of people, and they just cut peat, and that was it. So yeah, it was actually founded in 1898, but it was closed on the same year. So not really up to a great start. But the what would you call it? The distillery actually changed hands a couple of times and got
I guess
got
it's a little
smaller,
bit typical
got bigger.
in Scotland with a lot of distilleries. Yeah.
And what is very typical for the distillery is not just the red, but the red doors. So basically, the story behind the doors is that you had to have the doors painted red in bright red color, so the drunken taxman could actually find their way to the whiskey. No, it was to symbolize that this is a duty-free warehouse, and you were only allowed to open it with a taxman. Probably a taxman.
It was actually a rule, yeah.
And they do have a gin now. Yeah.
It's the Red Door gin.
Yeah, that's how I found it.
Yep.
Yeah, and it has a very red color.
Exactly. So it's not the liquid. It's really just basically the bottle that's red.
Yeah, obviously gin is not. There are red gins,
we do have
but
those
they
questions,
though. Really, I think they like the gin is red.
Yeah,
like, oh, it's not red.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, there are red gins out there called pink gins, and yeah, they're sweet. And I think yours is not that sweet.
No.
Yeah. Yeah, but the gin is not that old. Yeah, I think it's like 1 or 2 years.
It's like 3-4 years.
Or 3-4 years. Yeah. So, and what is very interesting is the malting process. Very traditional. They used to have malting floors, a lot of handwork, and they still have an old bobby mill.
There we go.
Yeah. Very, very old, sturdy, and these things run forever. How old did you say is yours?
It's actually over 120 years.
120 years, yeah.
It's unbelievable.
I guess it's not all in. I think the wood. Every 50 years you have to change the wood on the machine, probably.
Well, that's pretty much it, because everything just works and runs.
Yeah, it's just very sturdy. Everything is full metal, and
quality
it just
is amazing.
Works. And the thing is, what they changed also is probably the what do you call it, the engine that's running it. Usually back in the days you had the water wheel, and now you probably have an electric engine.
Yeah.
But usually when you see on the right and left, you still have the belts that connect all the rollers to the engine.
You actually still have old bearings running as well.
Yeah.
It's pretty nice. So when I'm there, I love to touch it because it's history.
Yeah. The thing with the bearings is bearings run forever if you keep the oil cans in there. If you ever let the oil cans run to the end, then you only have hours or days of warning. If they keep the full, it's just centuries or longer, millennia. Yeah. So we break down the malt into coarse grist. But can you tell us a little bit more about the malt, because that is very special about Benromach?
So, like I said in the beginning, Benromach is very traditional what we do. And we always want a little bit of a peat inside our malt, so that means we get peated malt and we add unpeated malt together. So make a lightly peated whiskey and not a heavily peated whiskey. And definitely, it's not usual today. Today, if somebody thinks about Speyside whiskey, we always have a unpeated whiskey in our mind.
Yeah.
This is basically a Speyside whiskey that we had 100 years ago.
I think since the Industrial Revolution, everybody in Speyside went for unpeated, because the peated stuff was just always there, and to be like young and new and hip and unpeated. And yeah, Benromach just kept the old style, but they didn't go the Isla style
Isla,
where
no.
you just had 40 ppm and stuff. You said like 10 to 12.
Yes, 10 to 12 ppm we have.
That is for me really like, I would still characterize it as lightly peated.
It is.
Lightly.
Definitely. I mean, obviously, for people that are not used to the peat, it's going to be a little bit stronger.
Yeah, I would say maybe a little bit of foreshadowing, but the 10 to 12 is quite hefty in the Benromach. But depending on the bottling, I would say.
Depending.
Yeah,
And maybe the character of the whiskey as well adds the kind of strength to the peat.
But I think enough talk. Let's try some.
Let's dig in.
So we're starting with the 10.
10 years, 43%.
No coloring.
No coloring, exactly.
And it's a mixture between casks.
So, yeah. So we have first fill bourbon cask. And we have first fill sherry cask.
Okay, but they are mixed after the maturation.
Exactly. So we have like today it's like a 60 to 40%, 60 bourbon, 40 sherry. It used to be, we started off I think with 20/80 actually.
Okay.
Yeah. So now it's a 60/40, so we will have the peat and the woodness more in front of our tongue. We will get a little bit of sweetness, but in the back we will have a beautiful little creamy soft caramel going down your throat.
It's very, very silky, smooth.
It is.
It's round. It has a bit of a chocolate touch to it. Definitely has a sherry touch to it, a fruity touch to it, and also spicy, oaky touch to it. So it's a all-rounder. Although that one thing that stands out is this is very hefty, very spicy, oaky for a 10-year-old.
It is.
So this is a rougher 10-year-old than you would expect from most of the whiskies and pretty much all the Highlanders and the Speysiders. I would say I know a handful of distilleries who have as of a hefty Speyside character as this one, and I would say two of them are in Dufftown. So
it has a beautiful nosing.
What is really strange? Is it like milk chocolate or is it like bittersweet chocolate?
I would go more for bitter chocolate. Yeah.
I don't know. For me, it's hard to define because if you'd go take out the wood, is that really bittersweet? Is it milk chocolate? Maybe a mixture, maybe both.
Maybe a mixture, yeah.
But what I want to say is, hard discussion. Is it a beginner's whiskey or not? I would say not, because it's too hefty and it has too many nuances.
A funny fact, though, I do a lot of tastings and fairs, and it's funny that women, they love peat.
Many of them.
Compared to men,
Yeah.
really. And they begin with peat.
Yeah.
So I noticed that a lot of women, they grab the 10 years because they love this spicy and smokiness coming out.
Yeah, that's always the question. The thing is, when you have a beginner's tasting, you always try not to overwhelm the beginners.
Definitely not.
And then you end up, okay, now we come into some heftier stuff with the peaty, and they're like, yeah, I really love that stuff. I'm like, oh, damn.
So no, but
that always happens.
but you're totally right with that. I would actually never start off with a 10 years Benromach just because of the peat.
Yeah, the thing is, if you have someone who really doesn't like the peat,
No.
then you just put him off at the first glass. And if you have the guy who really likes peat, or the girl who really likes peat, and she gets the peat on the fourth glass, then you're still good.
Yeah, it is.
You're still
Absolutely.
good.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Oh, we have a question from Miro. I think we already answered, but maybe he didn't join later. Is Benromach whiskey natural color?
It is, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Where does Benromach get his bourbon barrels from?
Oh, so our bourbon barrels, they define in different distilleries. So we buy them, but from different. We don't have a specific brand where we say this is the only one we buy.
So, Sloan This is really what you said, a worker's whiskey. It's it has its edges.
Oh yeah.
Luckily, no
Nicely
alcoholic
said.
edges, but
Nicely said.
the spiciness in here has a overtone. Smokiness has an overtone, especially for when you say 10 to 12 ppm. If you'd have other distillation, which we'll come later to, you'd probably have a lot of less peat in there. But it's a hefty, rough whiskey with a nice Oloroso sherry and then a bit of smoothness in there. So it's strange to say, but it's a good all-rounder.
It is, definitely. And nicely said with the edges, because this is what the whiskey definitely has. It has its own edges, but that's what makes the character of this beautiful whiskey.
Yeah, it really depends on your mood and the occasion. If your whiskey should have edges, I would say if you'd have that for, okay, depends on the person as well. If I'd have that on a poker night on the side, it would just overwhelm me. If you'd have a tasting with people where you can focus and talk a little bit of the whiskey and talk something else, then yeah, that's a good thing, because it just has something to experience.
Yeah.
But it's not something pleasant that you can have on the side.
No.
That is overwhelming.
Well,
depends on the person.
I wouldn't say no, but
It depends on the person.
Depends
there are
on the
people.
person, yeah.
There are people who really like it rough on the side. Just joined. Is the 10 the only peated in the range? No, I think they're all peated, but they're all lightly peated.
yeah. So basically, that's in our character of Benromach, that we always have a peat in the back,
I think
lightly peated.
for all of the core range, but with the contrast, there's no rules.
Exactly. That's pretty good. Yeah. So the contrast is like our other series that we bring out, and that's exactly so we wanted to kind of define there and be different.
Good. So that was the 10 years. You can still easily enjoy them, but we're gonna move on a little bit with the presentation. And we've just mashed down, or grinded down our malt to a coarse grist, and now it's getting mixed in a very old-fashioned way, and then splooged into a big mash tun in a very old kettle style mash tun with a copper lid. So yeah, copper lid is not that old where they still had open mash tuns, but they had a bit of energy conservation with the copper lid. But the very modern one are stainless steel, and if you look into that one, you see it's modern from the inside. So yes, the distillery is keeping its traditions, but something is just better with what do you call it, with modern.
Exactly. There are things you just have to change a little bit.
But they still do a little bit differently. Because they are going for a cloudy mash.
Yes.
Not quite sure how that works, but it changes a little bit your fermentation. Because what you mash, you take out the sugars, you take out the starches, you split up the starches into sugars that can be fermented, and so the mashing is kind of the pre-production for the washbacks for the fermentation. And here it's old style, what is it, Douglas fir or Oregon pine if you're American. And these 4 washbacks made out of wood. I think you said you had more at some other place.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
what we see here are the 4 washbacks for our Scottish larch wood, but we have a different on the other side of the building. We have like 7 to 9 European washbacks. European
okay.
wood.
Okay. So I said Oregon pine. So it's large,
Yeah.
Scottish large.
Yes.
Okay. That's a little bit different as well.
Yes.
Yeah. And what is very strange is you do have a cloudy, and you do have an extremely long fermentation
We
duration.
do. We
Yeah.
do.
So it's, what was it, 90, and over the weekend even longer.
Yeah, over 120, 116. So that's where we really go out.
Okay, so yeah, it's really long fermentation.
Unusual.
A lot of lactobacteria fermentation. Usually when you say you go for alcohol, you just go 48 hours and that's
Exactly.
it. You can, with the right yeast, you can even go down to 30
Yeah.
something. But after the 48 hours, there is more happening.
Exactly.
And the bacteria in there create more different flavors that you can then either distill out if you don't like them, or leave them in.
So you brought on the point with the yeast. So we
Yeah.
add our obviously our distiller yeast, but we add additional beer yeast. So that's like the IPA yeast.
IPA yeast.
Yes.
Interesting.
So that gives another character to the whiskey, or to, at that time to your mash
Yeah.
fermentation.
I have to tell you that when you use 2 kind of yeasts, that is for the production team. That's how to say that politely, something really bad, because 2 yeasts require more constant care, and it's much difficult and much more to control and
It is.
correct and have a look at. So
Yeah.
that is 2 kind of yeast. They can work together, and that's what you want. Usually one yeast takes over the other yeast, but so 2 yeasts, they do it for a purpose and for the flavor. Definitely not because the production team wants it.
No. And I would like to add that what we just saw on the pictures is that there's nothing going automatically with some computers or anything. So the people are like literally working with their hands and controlling everything by their experience. And that's what makes Benromach so important to handmade. That's what makes us authentic, and that's what we want to represent.
They also write it on the bottle, made by hand.
Exactly. Very proud of that too.
Yeah.
We're very proud of that.
Yeah, the thing is with the distillery, you don't have to control that many levers, and it's not that complicated. It's actually pretty easy. If you get working in, you could probably run the distillery if you learned it for 1 or 2 days. But the flavor that would come out would not be great, because the knowledge is when to turn which lever.
Yes.
If you is that the right alcohol, and then you turn it. That is the proper way to do it. And now we come to the probably most important part. We've created tons of flavor now with 90 hours of fermentation, and now comes the part where you split the water from the alcohol. You distill it, but you also decide how much flavor do you want to come with it. How much spiciness do you want to have? Do you want to have a more easy drinking whiskey? Do you want to have more spicy whiskey? And the first thing is the shape that forms your whiskey. You can't really change that during distillation. So this is more of a pear shape. You do have a reflux bowl that's more copper contact, makes it a little bit more easy on the palate. But what they also do at Benromach is they distill pretty fast.
Yes.
And what that means is you get a lot of the flavors in the spirit with so more rough and more spicy. So this is kind of the secret, and I don't know how fast they distill. Is that like a trade secret, or do you tell people how fast you distill?
No. I actually have nothing to add on this.
Okay. Yeah. So but they tell you they do a fast distillation. So that's what we found in the 10-year-old, with a little bit of a spiciness. Of course, there's probably from the sherry oak, there's spiciness in there, but still also in this distillery character, very spicy whiskey.
Yes.
And now the 15 years is a very interesting, because you told me it's basically the 10 with 5 more years.
Yeah, so the recipe is exact like the 10 years.
Okay.
43%, everything is the same, basically the 5 years.
Why have Benromach dropped the natural color statement on the newer bottlings? Really, did they?
Not that I know of.
The thing is, in Germany, you have here it says natural color right at the bottom. Maybe I do have an old bottle, old cartridge, but
No, it's nothing I'm confirmed of, so...
So these here have natural color.
Definitely, and Gordon MacPhail in the back end they really love to be a family-owned business and to be authentic. So I would never think that Benromach would do a cut off the natural color.
Natural color, non-chill filtered. Have a look at the very bottom of your cartridge, of your box. If it still has the natural color on it, then would be strange.
Yeah.
Does Benromach remain pure analog on its production chain? No computers, no digital stuff?
So we said that, yeah. So no, we don't have any automatic or computers going on. The staff is working with their own knowledge.
Mm-hmm. I think the books of the guys who fill the casks go to a computer.
Well, I mean,
but
keep
they are
data.
on the other side of
Exactly.
production.
I mean, for data, obviously we do kind of want to go with the time.
I'm interested in how I'm not quite sure how the quality insurance, because I think you have to sign for, or say, okay, I've cleaned that with caustic and then with water, and
you have to keep those documents.
I'm not quite sure if the government then says, okay, everybody does it by computers like Benromach's, like, no, we don't. if they get in trouble then later, or if someone has to like type it into a computer at some point.
I mean, just start working now.
Yeah, so everybody on the production floor is pen and paper and hands, obviously.
I mean, that's another thing. You find that every bottle or packaging is the symbol here. And this is our 4 ingredients. What we think is very important is water, yeast, barley, and what is the 4th thing? People. So that's why basically we're very, very ambitious being a handmade distillery.
Benromach is made of people.
Well, not in that sense.
By people.
By people.
Did you watch the film? It's years gone. My knowledge.
My God.
You can just remember that one sentence. Yeah. So okay, now we have the 15. Let's go back to the whiskey. So the 15 is basically the older brother of the 10.
Is correct. Yeah,
and let's find out how just more age, what that does to a whiskey. Oh. What you immediately find in there, and we had in the German tasting, we had pretty much consensus on that, was less smoke. Yeah. So the smokiness is turned down a lot, whereas you think, okay, that makes the whiskey easier. No, you do have a lot more oakiness, a lot more heftiness with the dark chocolate, the tannins, the oak comes in very strong, but also, from my point of view, a bit sweeter. And what I find interesting is this stuff has partly 40%. If you have the old stuff, 20%. 40% was in oak and sherry oak for 15 years. And after 15 years, you get really hefty taste from that oak. And you mix it with a bit of a lighter bourbon barrels to get a nice balanced, 15-year-old Benromach.
Oh. So it's a beautiful smell. I really enjoyed having a quiet noising currently with the whiskey. So like you just included that we don't have smoky coming out. It's very hiding, I would say, which you still have a little bit the spicy flavors coming out, but you do have sweetness and a little bit cream coming through now.
What I like about it is the alcohol doesn't come out that much. I can really go in very deep with my nose without getting the alcohol. At the very end, I do realize, okay, it's a 40%, 43% alcohol.
Yeah.
But it's a whiff of smoke. It's very silky smooth. It's a little bit of an orange touch to it as well. Here we have a question from Miro. What's the peat level in ppm? Strange question, but the Benromach has 10 to 12 ppm, but that is inside the malt, and it's really dependent on how you distill it. If you're very slowly distilling, you have pretty much no peat left. If you're distilling fast, like Benromach, you have a lot of peat
in the malt,
there.
yeah.
So for my nose, I could understand somebody who says this is a medium peated whiskey, even though you have higher peated whiskeys that have less in smoke on the nose. So yeah, cheers.
Cheers.
The smoke is much more than on the nose. Yes, it's lighter than the 10, but it's the volume is just turned up by 5 years, and it's just more hefty. The finish is getting a bit more dry, but maybe that's because I already had like 5 glasses already. So, but it's a wonderful, beautiful whiskey. I do like it.
I think it's interesting what happens after 5 years. So I think a lot of people think a whiskey matures over years it would get smoother, but actually we have more the oak coming out, we have the spiciness coming out, and we have a nice rough character included. And it starts off with a little sweetness combined with cream and fruitiness, but in the back palate, I agree with you. It is a little bit dry.
For me, what would be really difficult to ask if it's for beginners as well, because it doesn't burn you. You always have the idea that the beginner gets a burn and he doesn't like it, it's just like I had it in the club 10 years ago when I downed half a bottle and it burned me. Like that's what you want to avoid with the beginner, but it's just a hefty glass. It's a spicy, smoky whiskey that has its edges, but is also very smooth and very intriguing and easy to enjoy.
Oh yeah. What I love about this whiskey is it has so many layers. So you do feel, or not feel, you taste the peat coming out very smooth. You do have the spiciness. You do have, what should I say? A little bit orange, bitterness. Beautiful. I mean, this is everything I love about a whiskey.
Mm-hmm. We have a bit of a discussion about the is it written on the bottle, the natural color? It's written on the box, but I found it on the bottle, not like this, but like this on the, what was it, from on the left side, up, down. I see natural color in here. So have a look at your bottle if you have natural color written on the left side from bottom to top.
It depends on which country you're from. I know that different countries have different laws.
Yeah, in Germany, if it's not written on there like with color, then it must be the without color.
Yeah.
So, but really depends on the country where you do live.
Just like I mean, it's clearly, but in Germany, it's very important to have the sign that you can't not be pregnant.
I think in Germany it's not required. I think that's from Britain.
Oh, really? I thought that was
printed on every bottle now.
Required as well in Germany.
Maybe they changed it recently, but 10 years ago it wasn't, definitely. But
it's obvious.
Obvious. But for some people, maybe
it's not obvious enough.
Maybe it's not obvious. It's good to be written on there on the back.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to have it like on the front, but on the back.
Yeah, it's okay. It's okay.
Good. So we are through with the 15, which is kind of the middle and the flagship. And now we get into a bit of the we've done the distilling, and now we go into the casking, and that's where we can see that is really handmade. Usually you have a modern filling station where you have like a pump that also measures how much you fill into the cask.
All are even,
And here you have a big old marriage tank made of wood, and I'm not quite sure if it's gravity fed, but it looks gravity fed. And you fill it into the casks, and all casks are stenciled. So they have a big pouch of ink, and then you roll through a stencil the name Benromach and the year on it, and then you have a stencil with numbers, and you write the next number on the cask, and that's how you number the casks.
Old school.
and you told me you actually handled this scale?
Yeah, we're still using the scale. It's still in place, just like the chalkboard we're seeing on the right side.
Okay.
That's where we list with chalk our batches.
But then it comes into a book or something, right?
Yes, it does on the back end, but we basically use a book and chalk.
Okay, probably for 100 years. Yeah, I think back in the days in that little cupboard, it probably was heated or something because the taxman was in there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So very, very old school, and I think the Avery, I don't think they do exist anymore. Or is the Avery still a company? I guess
Who knows?
I guess it's going the way of the Bobby Mills. Yeah. Next up is also very, very traditional, is the dunnage warehouses. So when I was there, they had 5 dunnage warehouses, but they were just at the point of building new ones. So how many were there when you were there?
So we have 7 for Benromach, but we have 9 because we have additional cask from Gordon MacPhail over there, or even the new distillery, the Cairn.
Okay. Yeah, so obviously, if you have a company with more distilleries, usually they share casks, and some Benromach might be somewhere else.
But altogether for Benromach, we have currently we have around about 27,500 casks.
And as you can see in that picture, that is a very beautiful picture, and it has no white spots on these casks because they have not a barcode. This is very nice for a photographer to have just casks there and stenciled on that and no barcode, but someone who's looking for a cask, it's a bit more difficult. Yeah, so, but if you number the cask good, then you just have a paper to say, get cask number 4235.
I don't know how to do it, but they have a great system.
Yeah. It's just beautiful to have it the really old way.
Yeah.
At the beginning, I actually told you to maybe get a bit of clear water, no sparkling water, probably if you have demineralized water, or if you have one of these, Evian, these very flat, not mineral waters for the last one, because that is cask strength. Or
It's beauty.
you're a bit like Patrick and you like it neat.
Yes. I love rough.
Maybe I'll try. This is the last one. I can't. If I burn myself, then I can recover till the next tasting. So I'll take it without water. But if you have it in your glass, feel free to add water. It opens up the whiskey. I might drink it and then open it up. You can add as much as a third in there. To water it down to, I don't know, 40 or even below 40 is still legal. But if you just add a few drops, that really doesn't reduce much of the strength. You might get down to 56, that's still very high. But it changes the flavor a lot. So the beauty of a cask strength is you can have it neat. You can add a little water, you can add more water, and it always changes. So you have like more flavors in a bottle than you would have in a normal drinking strength whiskeys, because you can just change it however you like it.
So I would recommend trying the whiskey without water first, and then add water to it, and you will definitely notice very quick that it will open up and add much more smoke to your whiskey once you add water to it.
Mm-hmm. This is really different to the other two.
It is. But it just kind of, I love cask strength, because the cask strength just shows you a character of a whiskey, the body.
It's much more fresh. It has a bit of a citrus character to it. And obviously, when you stick your nose in, you realize 59%, nearly 60%. And now I do get a bit of smoke, even though I didn't have any water in it. If you add water, which I did in the German one, it becomes much more smoky. This is what I would have guessed is like a 10 ppm, but I know there's more smoke in it. And oakiness. But more of a American oakiness, where the other one I would even have said European oakiness.
No, it's American.
Is all American?
All American.
Strangely enough, it tastes like that.
For our contrast series, we do have European oaks. We define or have different versions of virgin oaks and kiln dried. That's where we just try. I just saw a question as well. Is there any wine cask and finishes on Benromach whiskeys? Yes, we do. We have the Bordeaux, and obviously we have here our sherry, and there are different ones coming out, just like our single cask, which is brought out for, obviously, I'm sorry, for Germany, but we do have for other countries as well. We bring out single casks, like just throughout, matured in Oloroso cask. Yeah, very nice, very nice. So, and the contrast is where we just try new things, to be unpeated, to have just a bourbon barrel, or just a virgin oak, or a Bordeaux, or just like a really nice peated whiskey, like throughout, strong peat, heavily peated. So that's what the contrast series is for.
Yeah, contrast sounds like no holds bars. Yeah, just everything goes. Okay, now I'm really excited how that is 59.7%. Yeah.
Cheers.
Cheers. That is pressing. Started off really slow, and then you realized, okay, it's working in your mouth. It's working. It's growing. Yeah, it has a bit of a glow in my mouth. So yeah, 59% is strong, but you realize 9 years. This is not a young one. Usually you can get these cask strength, and they're always a bit younger because hey, cask strength. And this one has a nice vanilla touch to it. Nice, a little bit of a sherry touch to it. A little bit of fruity touch. More of a fresh fruity touch than the other ones. They were more berries, I would say, and silky smooth and rose and stuff. This one is more apple, pears, kind of fresh, a little bit of a citrus touch to it, where this was more orange, this is more lemon, and very little smoke. This is strange how you can... I know if I add a little bit of water, I get it much more smoky.
It's going to change. And that's very, very interesting, though.
So I added a little bit. Okay, a lot more smoke in there. Oh. But still, you feel the character of Benromach. Very, what do you call it? Very rough and spicy. Strangely enough, more in the cask strength than the other one. But still, I have to say, in the German tasting, it was less rough and spicy. I would say in Benromach, the spiciness is adding up the more glasses you have. So the first of 3 and now the second of 3 is a lot different.
Very interesting. So I just added water as well. Now I'm asking myself, why did I do that?
You're really more of the full strength.
I'm totally into yeah. I love when a whiskey just shows his power, his strength, and his beauty of being different. That's what's a whiskey for me. And I just took a little bit away, which it's okay. It's still a beautiful whiskey, and yes, you can have a different experience, but I love roughness.
Okay.
I love the dirtiness of a whiskey.
For I don't know how much you did add, but this time I added very little.
Okay.
And it still has the roughness and the spiciness, but just the smoke came out a little bit more. And for me, it's really strange that when we say 10 to 12 ppm, and I have to say it probably a third time in this stream, it really depends how you distill the malt with 10 to 12. So yes, it's how smoky it is, but it's how smoky the malt is, not how much smoke is in the glass.
Yeah.
Yeah, the glass is totally different of how you distill it. Yeah. And we had a question in the German take. Is Gordon MacPhail giving up the independent bottling?
So that's a pretty important question, and very nice that you asked that. But so the media like to put a little bit of push onto it, telling everybody we're closing down. Gordon MacPhail is not going to be independent anymore. So that's not true. We are going to be independent. We're just going to have a little break for the next 10 to 15 years, and we'll see what the market is going to be at the time. So right now, whiskey's just going like really off the roof, and nobody or it's really hard to be independent because now the distillers are like, hey, we need our own whiskey now to be able to sell. So that's very hard, and plus we have huge warehouses. I mean, we have so many casks that 10, 15 years is still enough to have to give everybody a beautiful whiskey.
I think I had it in the news as well. I didn't say closing down. I said what I said is you stop buying casks.
It's true though. I mean, it is true. We stopped buying. There are many reasons for that, but we stopped. We're just on a pause, I would say.
Yeah, but I think if anybody says, "Oh, Gordon MacPhail is not going to be there after 10 years," the thing is they do have Benromach. They do have what is it,
the new distillery, the Cairn.
The Cairn, and I guess that's not the last distillery.
Hey, we're a family company over 120 years, so there's so many experience that we have and build that other really famous distillers are trying to get the knowledge from us or learn the knowledge from us. What we have with maturing and cask.
Yeah, so that is very interesting to hear. So yes, Gordon MacPhail is going to continue, and I'm really excited about how the whiskey business is going to develop in the next 10 years. As I am in the business, so that's most of interest for me. But I do see a bit of a trend that they upped the production by so much over the last years. When you follow the Whisky.com or Whisky.de news, I had tons and tons of news of new distilleries, more distilleries opening up, so permits opening up, and enlargement of production, I would say. Yeah. So can I actually get you to rate the whiskeys of flavor in that tasting, or is that like picking your favorite child?
Well, it's actually really hard for me. It's just like asking what's the best whiskey.
Oh, you get the question a lot usually. I didn't get that today, but usually you get the question.
I mean, you definitely get probably the question. What's your favorite whiskey? I don't know.
For me, actually, the second time it actually did change from the German tasting. I did have. I'm not decided on the second and third place yet. Which is strange. Nah, I think I have the second place. Yeah. For me this time it's 1, 2, 3.
Really?
Yes, the 10, even though it was first in the German one I had 2, 1, 3, but now the 10 was I just liked it more. It was tougher and harder, and I was just more into it in the last hour.
That's what I love about whiskey. That's what I love about whiskey. So for me, I think in a German whiskey, I said this was so the 15 and the cask strength I really enjoy and love, and it's always just kind of hard for me to see which one. So in the German tasting, I said the 15 years is number 1, my personal number 1. So that's 2, 3, and 1. So my number 1 was the 15, and second choice was cask strength, and the third one was 10 years. But to be honest, it actually changed myself now as well. I would go backwards. 3, 2, 1.
Really, you're totally backwards.
I'd go totally backwards.
Yeah, for me, the cask strength, I do like it that I had it in full strength. I can recognize why it full strength is really good. But it just didn't close into the 15 and the 10, just barely. It would have been strange, because then I would have rated the 15 the last, and then the German was the first. Yeah, we actually have 10 people actually voted, and it's really similar to it's really similar to the
German one.
Yeah, except for the 10 was a bit better than in the German. A few percent, but yeah, it's a bit more rough in the English one when we have a little bit less viewers. Here someone asks, rye casks for Benromach. Is there a contrast with rye casks yet?
No.
Maybe you subscribe to the channel and I have the news, and we'll probably have that in the news when there's a rye cask coming out. And with contrasts, they have tried out so much that eventually, well, they will have to resort to rye casks, even if it takes 10 years. Yeah. So, you can type in any questions, and I will have a little bit of a coming up. If you go to whisky.com/live, you'll find the upcoming live tastings. There are numerous live tastings. Most of our live tastings are through the holidays, because everybody's just, on Christmas Eve and the 25th you have parties and stuff, and then the 26th, second day of Christmas, is just relaxing and maybe having a little bit of a whiskey tasting on the 26th or 27th. The next whiskey tasting will be on the 6th of the December at 8 p.m. Central European Standard Time, winter time. We had that trouble one time where everybody was on the wrong time. And that will be the next one. And do we still have a question, or? Nope. Do you have anything to add to the Benromach?
Well, the only thing I can add is Benromach is very, very authentic what they do. Mm-hmm. And we praise for the quality, and we're very small what we do, so it's like 350,000 till 500,000 liter that we produce yearly. Mm-hmm. And we're pretty much sticking to that level because we don't want to have this big distillery experience, because we would lose on quality, and quality is very important for us. Mm-hmm. And obviously handmade is the key to our product, what we have right here.
Yeah, I can see that, and I will visit Benromach at some time again.
Oh yes.
And so that was our tasting for the Benromach, and thank you very much, Patrick, for having us, and
thank you for having me,
or being here and showing us all the stuff. I actually did learn some new stuff this evening.
That's great.
that was actually,
it was really fun though.
Yeah, it was also really fun. We had some fun time. And hopefully you had also some fun time. If you liked it, then please give us a thumbs up. And thank you very much for watching. And see you next time.